Hi guys, and once again welcome to the Crack It YouTube channel video. And today we are going to present this in a completely different way. And this is the final, the mouth-watering final. So much so after I don't know when the tournament was begin. None of them gave much chances to Australia and New Zealand. Maybe a New Zealand fan like me fantasized them in the final, but most of the people never gave them chance. But here we are, Australia versus New Zealand, the final two teams, and we are just hours away about finding who is going to be the champion. Starting off with Australia, and you can see it's actually these three have the best average against New Zealand. Aaron Finch, Stoinis, Wade, the last match hero. But most of the time, what I'm really fascinated is all three of them are playing or going to be playing against New Zealand in the tomorrow's big final. And now we see the strike rate. And how big is this? Glenn Maxwell 178, Stoinis 147, Wade 137. They are again making a mark. And so far Maxwell has not fired much. Who knows, he might turn it up in the final. And Stoinis and Wade, both of them are in good touch and with lots of confidence. Now we have seen Australia, so we can see the New Zealand comes. Here comes the New Zealand best average. It's Conway, Guptill, Neesham. And if you are a New Zealand fan, definitely this slide will put you under so much of stress and pressure, because we all know what has happened to Conway. He injured himself and he's out. More than that, what I'm really worried here is if you take the New Zealand batting order, it will be Mitchell, Guptill, Williamson, probably Seifert, Phillips. We hope Phillips is also fit. And then come Neesham. So up to Neesham, they are lacking a left-hander, because Conway was nicely splitting their top order and the middle order, and he was giving a lot of stability, and he had the power to accelerate at any time he want. And it was like a God given. I always call him as divine Conway for New Zealand, and his absence would definitely make a big missing in the final. And here comes the best strike rate. It's Neesham, Guptill, Phillips, and hopefully all these three would play. And Neesham is in good touch and he is in an absolute form, and here he is determined about taking New Zealand home in the final. So that would be a cracker of a contest when Neesham fires. Guptill should perform from the beginning and Phillips could turn things. Now we have seen the batting department, what the bowling department says. Surprisingly, who has the best figures against New Zealand in the past 12 months? It's Ashton Agar, Meredith, Richardson. So Ashton Agar has a chance to make a comeback in the final. We don't know how Australia will think about it, but maybe the matchup, if they go with matchup, they might take him inside the team, and that would be giving New Zealand a lot of headache. And we can see what New Zealand is up to. It's Saudi, Bolt, and Satner. So these three would be definitely playing in the final, and Saudi is making a big thing to New Zealand, and he's giving the vital breakthroughs. And Bolt, we all know his performance in the power plays. He takes a lot of wickets. So we have seen the bowling and the batting, and we can see the scenario in the normal way. And this is when Australia bowls, New Zealand bat. The power play seems to be perfectly in balance, but the middle overs is where we are going to have a crucial part, because Australia takes 4 wickets, New Zealand mostly lose 3 wickets, and even in the death overs seems to be very much balanced between these two. So whoever is going to dominate that middle overs definitely going to have a huge advantage here. And if as a New Zealand fan like me, the Australian column definitely give me chills, because they have the powers and likes, and Zampa will be a detrimental factor. And how New Zealand is going to handle them, it's actually will be the determining factor. And when it comes to the death overs, both teams kind of play very fair. So the first two phases seems to be perfectly in balance, and we can see the other scenario in the next slide. So this is where New Zealand bowls and Australia bats, and obviously Australia has a good advantage when it comes to batting. You can see New Zealand take 2 wickets, but Australia only give 1 wicket. And new in the middle overs seems to be perfectly balanced, and in the death overs it's going to be perfectly balanced between these two. So as the previous scenario, the middle overs, and this scenario when New Zealand bowls and Australia bats, the deciding factor is going to be power play, and how much Warner and Finch will be firing, and this time Saudi and Bolt will be trying to take the quick wicket. So it's going to be a very, very even match contest. But we know it's a big game, it's pressure game, final game, so things might go here and there, and that might be the reason here. And we shouldn't forget it's the dew conditions, because the dew is coming in the 15th over, so whoever wins the toss probably will be trying to bat first. But this way, I think Australia also wouldn't mind chasing. They love chasing because they won the last match chasing. New Zealand also won the last match chasing. So these factors are going to be. So now we can, since we have seen all these things, let us look at about how the bowling figures works. Now look at that New Zealand figure. They give 17 runs and take 1 wicket. In the spin department, it comes 10 runs per 1 wicket. When you see the Australian column and the New Zealand column, the faster bowling unit almost plays pretty much same, because it's like zero point 0.5 runs difference. We can take it same, but the spin bowling, Australia seems to be bit more efficient. You can't say a drastic difference, but still it's going to be a bit more efficient. Australian bowling lineup might give some trouble to New Zealand. But again, this is where the middle overs comes. The fascinating fact about these two, it's the phase which is going to decide, is for me mostly it will be, because New Zealand has the strategy about holding their wickets till the 15 overs to accelerate, but Australia can make some breakthrough at that time. It will be difficult for New Zealand. New Zealand does the same thing to Australia as well. Now the verdict time. So throughout the verdicts, I would say Australia marginally ahead of New Zealand, because New Zealand is lacking Conway, and at the same time Australia's middle order figure seems to be really, really powerful. So statistically, I think Australia is edging ahead. I have to vote for Australia, but my heart says it's New Zealand. If you like this video, just tell us your comments.